Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. If you want to know how to use and care for your Omega Speedmaster Racing Dial, you have come to the right place. We're discussing the proper care and usage of your Omega Speedmaster Racing Dial co-axial master chronometer, starting with the basic fact that this watch can be wound automatically by means of its caseback winding mass or manually by means of its crown. Simply take the crown in the first position, flush the case, and begin turning in a clockwise direction. 30 to 40 turns will be sufficient to start the beat of the balance, and thus the operation of the watch. You will note constant seconds begins to tick away at 9 o'clock. 80 to 100 turns is sufficient to fully energize the watch, and if you wish to wind the watch to its maximum rated power reserve of 60 hours, simply keep turning. You cannot accidentally overwind the watch. The bridle style mainspring will slip to relieve any excess strain. So keep winding if you wish 80 to 100 turns, or listen for the subtle tick or click from within the case that represents the slipping of the bridle. That's your audible cue that the watch is fully wound. The timepiece features a chronograph and a tachymeter bezel, and you can use the two together or use the chronograph in isolation. It's important to note that the chronograph must always be operated in a specific sequence, so we'll review that first. You start using the pusher at 2, you stop using the pusher at 2, and you reset using the pusher at 4. Always wait until you've stopped the chronograph to reset it. You must start and then stop before you reset, as attempting to reset while the chronograph is running will crash the movement and cause severe damage. Now, to use the tachymeter scale, you need to know that it's designed to work alongside chronograph time and a fixed distance. So you need to have a fixed distance, and an object moving at fairly high speed, as the slowest velocity would be measured at 60 units. Let's say we have a standing kilometer. My race car starts the standing kilometer. I start my chronograph. This is a very fast race car, and after 8 seconds, we stop the chronograph. Now you simply look at the adjacent number, and in the interval it took that car to complete the standing kilometer, the speed, the average speed, was approximately 430 kilometers per hour. Of course, I reset. The timepiece does feature a number of setting modes that you can use to precisely synchronize against a reference time and travel, as well as set the date precisely. Let's wait for the constant seconds hand to approach the index at 60, which is effectively 0, and then we'll pull the crown out 2 stops. You pull the crown out 2 to tenths and you stop the movement. You'll note the balance is no longer beating on the caseback. Now I am in what's known as hacking or stop seconds mode. I can set everything in sync. What I want to do, let's say the time is currently 1:09. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find an online atomic clock, an accurate reference set to my time zone, and if it's 1:09 now, what I'm going to do is set my minute to 1:10. And I'm going to wait for that reference time to catch up. At most, I'm 60 seconds ahead of the indicated time. When that reference time or the atomic clock catches up and hours, minutes, and seconds all align, once they're synced, you push that crown 2 stops back down. Now you've synced to your reference time. There is an intermediate crown setting position, and that can be used for jumping the hour hand forward or backwards. And this is excellent for travelers because you can jump your time zone forward or backwards, and the watch continues to keep time. If the chronograph is running, the chronograph continues to keep time. You can even use that mobile hour hand to move the date forward or backwards as you jump over the international date line if necessary. So this is an excellent feature for frequent travelers, and it should be noted that this is how you advance the date of the watch. You advance the hour hand at center in the intermediate setting position. Now I push my crown back down. You always want to return the crown to its flush position against the case for 2 reasons. 1, to protect against impact or abrasion, and 2, to ensure the watch meets its maximum rated water resistance, and you can expect it to keep hermeticity up to its rated 50 meters. Now 50 meters, it should be noted, is sufficient for surface exposure. So splashes, if you get caught out in the rain, if you happen to accidentally wet the watch while washing your hands, this is not a watch you want to take swimming or diving. But 50 meters is sufficient to protect you on the surface against contingencies. Now it's important to note a couple of restrictions. First, the leather strap, a natural porous material, is never water resistant, so you want to keep it remote from water. If you know the watch is going to get wet, you want to put it on an Omega water resistant band such as a rubber strap. Second, it's important to remember that you can help avoid accidental drowning. Never press the chronograph pushers or turn or move the crown in and out when the watch is submerged or even when there's water on the case. You don't want to withdraw or depress the crown when there is water on the case, as this may bypass the seals and introduce water to the interior of the timepiece. That is catastrophic mechanically and cosmetically and can be quite expensive. It's also important to remember that just as you can help preserve your watch by avoiding accidental drownings due to use, the timepiece will lose water resistance over time, as water resistance is not a static feature of a watch. Seals age, lubricants degrade, and over time your watch will be relatively less water resistant than when it left the factory. Therefore, Omega recommends on an annual basis having your watch water checked using a dry water test at an authorized service center of Omega. This is also a good time to have the total condition, cosmetic, chronometric precision, and water resistance or hermeticity checked by your authorized service center. The other major threat to your watch besides water is shock. Shock and concussion up to a point can be withstood, as the watch does meet international and Swiss standards for a shock-resistant watch, but there is a point at which even a properly engineered shock-resistant watch meets its limit. And you want to make sure that you avoid exposing the watch to concussive sports such as batting, tennis, or golf, firearms marksmanship, or the riding of ATVs or mountain bikes, as these high-impact activities can damage the movement. Finally, keep in mind that hard blows against a sapphire crystal can fracture or shatter it, and likewise, a ceramic bezel, which has the high scratch resistance of a sapphire, has the same handling restrictions. Avoid hard and sharp blows directly to the bezel and the sapphire, as well as the sapphire caseback. Ultimately, every fine mechanical watch requires a comprehensive overhaul. Per Omega, this is roughly every 4 to 5 years, but it's good to have your watch checked annually with your water test to see if it needs a comprehensive overhaul, because different usage patterns can create different service intervals. If the watch requires service, service exclusively with Omega or an Omega authorized service center, as these agencies solely have the specialized tools, factory replacement parts, and trained personnel to preserve the value of your watch as both instrument and as investment. Moreover, these agencies solely are able to back any labor and parts invested in your watch with a factory service warranty. Visit our website at govbergwatches.com and call, text, or email our experts who will be happy to walk you through every phase of the usage and care of this or any Omega fine timepiece.